Hey everyone, it's Anna Wheaton from Nudge Nudge Ink Ink, getting inky with you. I am showing you part 2 of using this pearlescent paper. This is on page 139 of the annual catalogue. In the Australian market, it's $7 for a pack that's 2 sheets of 12 by 12. In my last video, I showed you the glad wrap or plastic packaging technique where we created these funky backgrounds, and I put aside one that I'd sprayed, and here it is. Alrighty, so the idea was that the wrinkling the glad wrap that's been has color on it then creates these contact points and pockets that the ink can form in and settle in. So in creating those, I went a little bit further and thought, well, how about I try some other things to see what else I can use to put contact and ink onto the pearlized paper. So I came up with this idea. I did try it with glad wrap first, or plastic packaging, but then I decided I'm just going to go straight to the paper. So even with the plastic packaging, I'm going to shift this just so that I get a dirty... Even with the plastic packaging, I would dab on it like this with my ink pad. And then, so that's what I did with the plastic, and then you'd put the paper on it and then you'd wrinkle up the plastic. I'll link to the other video, but then you spray it. And what I ended up doing was going with our background stamps. So here is the stacked stone. I've just put it on the back of its case. You could put it on the block. I've spritzed that, and I'm just going to lie that on top. Now, as I said in my other video, you've got to leave that for a while. It's got to have time. If you take it off too soon, it's the water will just settle. So it's got to have time to cling to the paper. I'm going to put that aside. And I've put a little bit of weight on it, and I'll bring it back at the end and hopefully we can see what it looks like. But here's one I prepared earlier. This is what happens when you pull it off. This is soft suede. My sample is evening evergreen, but that is your stacked stones background. So what you get is sort of this mottled effect of the stacked stones in behind. So evening evergreen. Here is another one where I have prepared it earlier, and I left this one a bit longer than this one. So you can see the detail of the stacked stone is just popping up a little bit more. The paper does get a little bit wrinkly because it's so wet, so use good layers of adhesive, not just 2 edges. Just make sure you add your adhesive really well on the background. And then I've prepared these that are going to go on my card. So let's add those. This is from the succulent set. And I just went for something that was colourful to add to it, so that it popped against the background. So here is my pot. And then I'm going to add the flowers. Now, when I was experimenting with these, I put my pot a little too far to the left. That's okay. When I was experimenting with these, I just went with the idea of the background stamps. So if you're not familiar with the background stamps, they are in the annual catalogue and they're towards the back. And they are a large size stamp. So here you can see things like the ray of light. It will be a great background. And the other one I tried was this one, the spiral die. and also the pretty medallion. So same idea, I put down a piece of pearlized paper, I spritzed it, and then I sat the background stamp on it. So here are a couple more examples. Here is the spiral die. It's not a die, it's spiral die as in tie-dye. That was with Granny Apple Green. And here is the Rays of Light with some green. So then to show you some finished products, there's the spiral die with a couple of colours. And then adding a thank you. And then here is the pretty medallion. Now it's really subtle, but I think this is a beautiful masculine card. And then I've just put a pop of red down the side and added some rhinestones. Let me get back in the piece that I've just done. I haven't left it for as long as I would like to. That's just a bit of weight on top. Hang on. Get rid of the weight. And pull that away. So you can see if I left that, that's just going to, that ink's going to pool into those areas, and that's going to be another beautiful background. So there you go. I have ended up just cutting my packet of pearlized paper into the right size for card fronts so that I can just play with this technique with different stamps. Hope that's given you some ideas. If you like the video and feel inspired, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I will be very grateful. Thank you and goodbye.